Hi, it's Kathy from Bishopstone Yarns, and I'd like to welcome you all here to episode 40 of the Bishopstone Yarns podcast. And if you're a new viewer, this is a mainly crafting podcast that I do every 2 weeks. And so 1 week I do mainly knitting and sewing and other crafts, and then on the other fortnight I do a mainly spinning podcast. And today's episode here is a sit and spin episode. So as you can tell from my wheel here, this is going to be a spinning episode. And I would like to welcome everyone here. If you're a returning viewer, it is great to see you. Thank you very much for coming back and spending some time with me, having a look and see what I've been up to, and just enjoying a bit of crafty chit-chat. And if you're a new viewer, welcome. It's really great to see you. If you haven't subscribed, it'd be great if you could subscribe and give the likes, hit the like button. And I guess I will say I am coming to you from the corner of my studio, and I am coming to you from Tasmania, which is the little island at the south of Australia. And even though it is autumn at the moment, down here the weather has still quite nice and warm. Actually, we've had the weather in Tasmania changes quite a lot. We have a few really, really hot days, and then it goes back to cool days. But I guess, as you can see from in the background here, the grape vines have still got green leaves, and they haven't quite started turning yet. Some of the other trees have started turning and starting to have yellow leaves, and also some of the trees have been losing their leaves, which is really nice. It's a really nice signal to the change of the seasons. But I guess I should tell you where you can find me around the internet. You can find me as Bishopstone Yarns on Facebook. You can find me as Bishopstone Yarns on Instagram. You can find me on Ravelry as Bishopstone. And I also have a blog called Bishopstone Yarns on Blogger, which I use sometimes. I haven't put anything on there for a little while, so I think I should really get around to doing that. And I guess that's about it, really. That's who I am, where you can find me, and where I'm coming from. So today is what are we today? Is it the 20th of March? And what has been happening? Well, since last time I talked to you, I was making all of these lovely rolags here. And I was using my hand carder to make those. If you haven't seen that episode, you can always go back, and so that would be 2 episodes ago, showing you me working and creating these out of my this used to be from our sheep, so it's merino cross and hand dyed merino cross wool. And so last time, for those people who saw it last time, I had this basket was full of 3 different colours. There was the pink, there was a blue, and there was this plummy dusk colour. Since I have seen you last, I have carded up all except for this little bit of blue, which I found at the bottom. So I have carded that up and spun that up. And so I still have the dusk to work my way through. I'm not sure what I'm going to end up doing with this little pop of blue that I forgot. So let me just grab my little bag here. So the blue that I had spun up, this is the blue here. I don't know whether or not I can, if I can get up and come up a bit closer and show you. So this is the blue that I have dyed and spun up. Actually, when I was spinning this up, I was thinking it felt very, I'm not sure if it's wool and alpaca, because it definitely had like an alpaca kind of feel to it. But it's a really, really nice, well, I think this was a polo bay that I had dyed this, but it's a very bluey grey kind of colour. It's a little bit hard to, maybe if I don't know, if I put up whether or not you can kind of see the colour or not, but it is very much a bluey grey kind of colour, which I really like actually. The other thing I was doing, because I had to clear off some of my bobbins, so I had some bobbins that had some leftover yarn, so I had this was the grey yarn that I had got from a D-stash, so I found the fibres on the D-stash and had bought some, and so I'm really not sure what it is, but I had spun it up and made this lovely skein here from it. Maybe I'll come up a bit closer and show you. So that's what we've got there at the moment. And then I was clearing out some bobbins, and I had some more of the grey left over from that skein, and then I had some purple that was already on a bobbin, so I decided just to apply the rest of the grey with as much grey as I had left, and then put the last bit together, oops, where are we, with the purple. And I really like the colour of grey and purple together. So that were just some little ends that were on my bobbin, which I was putting together. So that is what I have been spinning since I last saw you. The other thing that has happened since then is I was gifted, very kindly gifted, some fibre from my son for my birthday. I don't know if I can show you. I might have to come up really close. So here's some merino silk, and in lovely kind of light purple and blues. So I'm just wondering, thinking what colour I might end up applying that with. And the other thing I was gifted was from my son's friend Miriam, has made this absolutely gorgeous hand woven towel for me. Isn't this beautiful? Look at that. It's absolutely gorgeous. Now I think this is cotton or bamboo, I'm not sure, but it is absolutely gorgeous. I love it, absolutely love it. And yes, so I've been very spoilt and very lucky. I also got along with these presents a range of some dried pears and some jams and some relish and other bits and pieces. So, but of course I have to say that the two fibre bits of the present, of course, have to be my favourite, because it's always fun when you get fibre as a present. And I actually think this might be the first time I've ever been given spinning fibre as a present. So that's very, very exciting for me. So thank you very much. So I've got this beautiful towel and this lovely fibre, and I'm sure this fibre will come up later. I'll show you what I'm going to decide to do with that somewhere down the track. I will pop those away for the moment though. So what have I been doing? So then I've been doing all this so that then I can get around to spinning, of course, my rolags, which is what I am hoping to do today. And I am hoping to have a go at spinning these, well, I don't know how many I'll get done today, but I'll get a few done. So I'm just going to prepare them by drafting them a little bit to begin with. So that means just gently kind of pulling them out, teasing them out just a little bit, not too much, but just to make it a little bit easier when I come round to drafting that for spinning. So I guess we should get ready. I should get myself into spinning mode and pop my spinning apron on. So this is a really nice apron design that I had made. I was thinking, is it called the Maria? I've just got to double check, but I think it's called the Maria apron. And it was a design that was, oops, I've lost my rolag, that was given to me by my sister-in-law. And yeah, so it works very well, and it works really well as a spinning apron. So let's see, get myself ready. And okay, we start off with this one. What I'm going to do is, I've already got a little bit of fibre on here. I'm going to just attach this. So I'll just start with a little bit of what I'm wanting to do. If this wool is going to work for me. It's a little bit sticky. It still has quite a bit of the lanolin in it, even though it has been washed and prepped and everything. It's still a little bit stickier than I would have liked. I was hoping to do a bit more of a long draw, but at the moment it's not really wanting to slide away from itself or come apart as easily as I had hoped. So I might have to just change the way in which I spin it so it's kind of a lot shorter kind of drafting than I would have hoped for. Usually when I'm spinning from a rolag like this, I can get a really nice long draw going, and you can kind of draw it back and then spin it in. But this one is not really wanting to do as I was hoping, but that's okay. I mean, you have to change your spinning to fit what the fleece is telling you, and this one is telling me it is wanting to stick and grab onto itself because of the lanolin in there, instead of doing a nice easy long draw. But we will keep spinning and we'll see how this goes. And then what I might have to do is later on is in a different video show you a long draw, maybe with using some tops or something that doesn't have very much lanolin in it, something that's going to be a lot easier to do long draw with, and isn't going to kind of grab hold of itself as much as this one here is. Okay, well there is one rolag. I don't know, can you see there? So that's one rolag on there already. And then I shall move on to the second one. It's a bit of this one's a little bit darker in colour. It's obviously taken up a bit more of the dyeing process. So I think it'll be quite interesting to have a look and see once this is all done, the colour variations. And whether I decide to ply this back on itself, I think I probably will. And or whether or not I decide to, if there's a lot of variation in the colour, I might even decide to ply this with another colour. So many things to think about and change my mind about at the moment. I think I'll just spin this and I'll see how it ends up going, what I think when I've finished one bobbin. And this is what we will end up doing, I think. I will just sit here and do a bit of spinning. I'll do a few rolags and see how we go. And then make a decision later on as to what I'm going to apply this with. I'll just get to the end of this second rolag. And as I was saying in my previous video when I was making these rolags, it's been quite a while since I've actually spent the time to make some rolags and spin from rolags. I don't know why. I mean, I quite enjoy having a rolag and spinning from it. I don't know why I've decided. Well, I've just been doing, I guess you get into a routine, don't you, especially when you're spinning large quantities, because I have been spinning enough for jumpers. And so I've been, of course, spinning that as a short forward draft, and with all the kind of fibers aligned. Oh, so let me see. I don't know if you can see or not. This one here is a little bit darker than this one, so it's going to have a bit of gradient, a bit of changing colour as I go. I think I might stop there, and I'll do a bit more spinning, and then I'll come back to you. Well, I have been doing a little bit more spinning. If you can see, bobbin is slowly filling up. And as I was spinning, I was thinking, I was feeling very much like Kate from the last Homely House podcast. For those people, I mean, I'm sure that you all probably know about Kate. She's just recently posted a video of her spinning, and she has been spinning some bright pink wool just like this. And she was talking about, well, I mean, pink being one of her favourite colours, pink and green. But she was also talking about how she really enjoys spinning and how relaxing she finds it. And how, and I know a lot of people talk about that. They talk about spinning being quite a meditative type of activity, which I think it is. I think it's really nice and relaxing. It's slightly repetitive, or very repetitive, I suppose, and it's really good time to just sit back and think. I don't know, just think, or not even really think, just kind of spin and enjoy being in the moment of spinning, if that kind of makes sense. And it's very relaxing. It's quite a relaxing kind of thing. And the other thing I've been thinking about is, I don't know, is it a little bit too early maybe to say this, but I a little disappointed in this spin so far, only because in the way that those first few rolags and that were very, like I said, they were still clinging to themselves, I guess a little bit sticky, and so they weren't giving me the type of spin that I was hoping for. I was hoping to be able to do a nice long draw from these rolags and end up with a really nice woolen yarn. It's not working out as that kind of spin. I guess I will end up with something that I would probably call a semi-woolen. It still has all the yarns, so the yarns aren't all aligned, so I'm not spinning worsted in terms of, and so it's still going to be slightly airier, slightly lighter, but nowhere near the type of woolen spin that I was hoping for. But like I said, you have to change and go with what the yarn is telling you. I was just thinking, like this rolag here actually is a little less sticky. It seems to be have a little less lanolin in it, and it kind of is drafting a little bit easier. I'm also thinking that the yarn isn't as smooth or as consistent as I would have hoped for. I have left, there have been some little kind of darker bobbly bits come through, which I have left in the yarn. I could have quite easily picked them out and had a much smoother yarn. There's a little bobbly bit here and here. But at the moment, I'm just going to go with those because I'm actually kind of enjoying the extra texture they're adding to the yarn. And I think I'm going to end up with a totally different type of yarn than I had thought when I first started the spin, but that's okay. I don't think, I mean, I won't be spinning a jumper out of this. I'm not even sure if I'll be spinning a shawl out of this. I think I might end up, I mean, it's a lovely kind of a pink pig kind of colour, piggy pink kind of colour. That might be the easier way to put it. And then I was thinking I might end up making some little knitted toys, some pigs or something like that out of it. I don't know. I'm not sure. Oh, I never know what I'm doing when I'm spinning. I just start, and then unless I've got a project in mind, which in this case I don't, I'm just spinning this up because it's been sitting around for such a long time. And I guess once it's finished, I will come up with an idea of what I'm going to use it for. I really like the colour. So this is the colour Landscape Colour Galah, and it is a really nice colour. Don't know if you can see that bit there where there's some light and dark pink together, so it's making a bit of a barber pole kind of colourway. But I really like just the differences in the non-solid colours that are coming out from this spinning. So there's still a lot to like about this, but like I was saying, it is going to be probably a very different type of yarn than I had thought when I first started spinning. Just means I'll use it for something different. I mean, I'm not making this in terms of I didn't have something in mind already, so it doesn't really matter to me exactly how it turns out in this case. I was just going to say here, I don't know if you can see or not against my hand. So this is a bit of a bobbly bit, but you can see the light and the dark, and here some of the light and dark. And you can also see maybe here on my finger a little bit of the dye is coming out. So obviously when I washed this fleece after dyeing it, I hadn't got all of the dye out, but that's okay, because when it's all spun up and skeined, I'll wash it again, and I'll just wash it until all the extra dye comes out. Sometimes you'll find that these end bits here, I can show you that, so the end bits here, which sometimes take the dye a lot stronger than the rest of the yarn or rest of the staple. Sometimes those bits there, there'll be some residual dye in those, and that's the area that's kind of coming out on my fingers at the moment. But it's nothing to worry about. I have had all sorts of strange dyed fingers after spinning sometimes. If I haven't, some colours do tend to bleed a little bit more than others, and other colours seem to wash out really easily. And then there are sometimes when I dye fleeces and all the dye is taken up, so there is absolutely nothing left to come off the fleece at all while I'm spinning. But anyway, either way, it all works out in the end, and I end up with a yarn that's a nice looking colour. Don't know if you can tell at the moment or not, but we're coming into a darker rolag here, or a darker section of the yarn. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how this is going to look when it's all finished and put together. I think I'm going to love the variegations in the pink, and there's a little bit of a light spot in here, so that's going to add a little bit of interest. And yes, I guess my big decision will be whether or not I'm going to spin this back with a pink colour, like spin it back with itself, the other half of the rolags, or whether or not I'll just go with another solid colour. I mean, like a solid grey or something like that would look quite nice with it. But then also, if I dyed it back with a pink, it could be quite interesting as well, because the variegation of the other single yarn would actually add even more variation to this yarn as well. So a lot to think about when you spin. It's not just the simple fact of sitting down spinning and you end up with something totally uniform and the same as everyone else is kind of spinning, because different people will make different colour choices. They'll make different choices of the way in which they're going to spin, how they're going to spin. Got that one was a little tiny bit of shortcut that missed the actual usually when I hand card the little shortcuts, I can pull them out as I go. And then I've come across, I've got a bit of a thicker spot here, which I'm just going to rub a little bit with my fingers, just flatten it out a little bit, just so it gets, it's not going to be a large unspun area, which tends to happen if you've got a thinner, if you've got a yarn and where there's a thinner spot and then a thicker spot, the twist will go into the thinner spot and you have a lot less in the thicker spot. So if it's quite a thick spot, you'll find that sometimes there's hardly any twist in that, and then it's a lot easier to break. So sometimes if you're going to leave a little bit of a thicker spot, you just kind of give it a bit of a rub with your finger backwards and forwards, and kind of flatten it down a little bit and get a little bit more twist into it, just to make it a little bit stronger. Otherwise it will become a weak point in your yarn when you've applied everything together and you end up knitting it or weaving it or whatever you use it for. Yeah, you could end up with a weak spot then in your yarn. So look, there's a nice little dark bit there. I don't know if that's going to, is he going to stay? I'll leave him on there for a bit, we'll see if he stays or not. But all these little variations I find quite interesting at the moment with this yarn. When I did the, when I spun this blue one up, you could see there's a lot less variation, colour variation, and a lot less, there's a lot more even, this yarn. It wasn't, it didn't have the lanolin in it, and it flowed a lot easier. Actually, in hindsight, I guess this one would have been a lot easier to do long draw, like make rolags from and do long draw, than this yarn that I'm using at the moment. I guess I should have actually, could have thought about that a bit more before I started putting this into the rolags, but I just got carried away with the concept of spinning this from rolags that I didn't stop to think about how easily it may or may not draft from a rolag. But that's okay. I'll have a look and see what the dust, the pale pink that I've got still in the basket, whether or not what that's like. If that's drafts a lot easier, I might turn that one into rolags as well, and then have a go at spinning that with a long draw. And just stopping to think about what Kate from the Last Homely House was doing with hers. I think she was, yeah, I think she made the rolags. She actually put hers on the drum carder, and then she took it off the drum carder, made bats or rolags from it straight off the drum carder. So she didn't have bats. She didn't pull it off in one big bat. She pulled it off into rolags, and then she spun it up. And then she was making a, oh, what did she make? She made a little, I guess it was a cross between a scarf and a shawl for her to wear out when she was out walking, I think. And yeah, no, it looked really good. And she had, I think she just spun up two bobbins and just used those two bobbins to apply together, and then that's what she spun up to make her little shawl / scarf. Okay, well, we're slowly getting there, getting a bit more yarn on the bobbin. I think I'll keep spinning and I'll come back to you in a little bit.